Protect your privacy online with the best VPN for gaming, ExpressVPN, and visit expressvpn.com/GhillieMaster, linked in the description, to find out how you can get 3 months free. When the APC tank first released in GTA Online, it was kind of a big deal as it was the first ever DLC tank that was added into the game. Before 2017's Gunrunning update, the only tank to exist in GTA Online was the Rhino, and we've had that one since 2013, since the beginning of time. So, needless to say, players, especially longtime GTA fans aware of the vehicle's history in the franchise, were very hyped. Unfortunately, the APC that we got in Gunrunning worked completely different than it did back in the day, and for those of you who are maybe new to the franchise and haven't played the old games, GTA 4's The Ballad of Ghillie DLC featured an APC tank with a news delivery, working lights, and most importantly, a sweet fast-firing cannon that ripped apart cars and was super satisfying to use. This is a stark contrast to GTA 5's APC, which completely got rid of the weaker fast-firing cannon in favor of a traditional tank cannon that we already have on the Rhino. And on top of that, you can no longer operate the gun while driving the vehicle, so you either need another player to use it at its max efficiency, or you have to pull over and swap seats every time you want to fire the cannon. A pretty massive change to the vehicle that really gets rid of the whole fun aspect that a tank in GTA brings. So then the question becomes, why did Rockstar even bother changing the APC so much? Were they afraid of it being too overpowered in the online environment? Do they not want us to have fun? I don't know, but I can tell you that in this video, we are going to revamp the APC to give it what it once had many years ago. Now, I think we kind of already went over where the APC went wrong, but to clarify, they just made some really unnecessary changes to it for no reason at all, really. One of the most fun things to do with the tank in GTA is to go on massive rampages, and you can't even do that with this tank because of its limitations. Also, the APC can be fitted with a SAM turret. The only problem is that it doesn't really do its job very well. You'd think that for something being named a surface-to-air missile, it would be good at taking out aircraft, but it's actually much better at annihilating people on the ground than it is at taking out aircraft. The missiles don't even lock on, which means you have to rely on free aim, but they also aren't fast enough and don't have enough range for them to even be useful in a free aim scenario either. So with that in mind, the objectives of this rebalance are to number 1, return the APC to its former glory like it was in the Ballad of Ghillie, and number 2, revamp the SAM turret to make it useful for taking out aircraft instead of ground targets. Let's begin by changing the main cannon. To replicate the fast-firing cannon of the old APC, it's actually very easy since there's already weapons that exist in the game that have the same properties that we're looking for. So, we copied the coding from the Valkyrie cannon onto the APC cannon, making a few changes along the way. First, in the sound, I changed it from the Valkyrie nose turret to the Bambushka cannon, which isn't that huge of a difference, but I'm pretty sure the Bambushka's cannon has a little bit deeper of a sound. Obviously, the explosion tag is from the Valkyrie, but now the only issue is that it blows up cars way too fast. We're trying to replicate the effect of a car getting shot a few times to getting completely wrecked before blowing up, so we lowered the damage from 200 to 30 to achieve that. Next is the rate of fire, which we increased slightly by lowering the time between shots value from .250 to .225. It's just a slight change, but fits very nicely with how the APC cannon used to work. The Valkyrie cannon range on the APC would have been a bit too overpowered, so I lowered it from 200 to 140. To get rid of the annoying limitation where the passenger has to be the one firing the weapon, I adjusted the weapon seats on the vehicle to allow the driver to shoot the weapons instead. And a couple more touch-ups that we did were just visual improvements. First, the reticle. It would have been just a plain old dot like you see when you're firing a pistol, but we want this to have the tank cannon reticle, so adding this weapon_tank line here fixes that. Second, the muzzle flash. Now this is a last second change, so for most of my cinematics you don't really see the muzzle flash because I recorded them before I made this change, but I gave it the original muzzle flash for firing it to give it some more life. And after all those changes, the end result is a much better version of the APC that's a lot more fun to use. Take a look. All it took was just a few simple changes to give the APC those old school vibes. I don't know why they decided to change the weapons up when they had these old school weapons that were perfectly fine. This is so much better than the APC we have in the game right now. I would actually use this all the time if we had this. But now let's take a look at the other issue, which is the SAM turret. Now, I tried as many things as I could, but I could not find a way to get the APC to lock onto things, so I went with a different approach of reworking the missiles. This might not make sense at first, but trust me, it will later on. The sound of the rockets I changed to the firework audio, which does look strange at first, I will admit, but it doesn't actually sound like the whistle of the firework, it's just the firework launcher firing sound. Next, we have the explosion tag, which I changed to the RC tank rocket, and this is to prevent it from being too strong given some of the other buffs we're about to discuss. The vehicle damage modifier was lowered to 0.4. For some reason, even with the RC tank missile explosion tag, they still blow up vehicles instantly, so this is kind of a failsafe to lower the damage even further to prevent that. Then we have the reload times, the time between shots, and the alternate wait time, which requires some explanation. Let's start with the alternate wait time. In this case, it's how long you have to wait to fire another missile. The time between shots is referring to the game switching which barrel the rocket comes from. As you know, with the APC SAM, it has 6 missiles, so if you divide the 3 time between shots value by the 0.5 alternate wait time, you get 6, and that's how it knows when to restart which barrel the rocket comes from. At least, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. The reload time on the current APC, it doesn't really do much, but on a revamped one it will. So the old values are 1.5 for the reload time, 3 for the time between shots, and 0.5 for alternate wait time. Our new values are 4 for the reload time, 0.6 for the time between shots, and 0.1 for the alternate wait time. And as you can see, once again, dividing the 0.6 by the 0.1, you still get the 6 for the 6 missiles in the APC SAM. And where the reload time comes into play is right here with the firing pattern aliases. Like I mentioned earlier, the normal APC does not have one, but the new one has the Hunter Barrage firing pattern, which fires rockets in rapid succession, and that 4 value in the reload time refers to the 4 seconds you have to wait every single barrage you fire. Lastly, the lifetime or range of the missile was upped from 2 to 2.5, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you factor in the launch speed, trust me, it is. And the launch speed used to be 5,000, I increased it all the way to 30,000, so these rockets are really fast. And here's what those new SAM missiles look like in action. The way I went about balancing the two cannons is I wanted the regular APC cannon to have more DPS and effectiveness against people on foot with its rapid fire cannon and shorter range. And I wanted the SAM turret to be the opposite of that and be less effective at DPS on the ground, but still be able to cause a hassle to aircraft, which is why I gave it the RC tank explosion so it can't be abused that much against people on foot. And also so it doesn't just delete aircraft in one rocket, you're gonna have to hit an aircraft multiple times to take him out. Which, given the speed buff and the range buff and the fire rate buff to the missiles, I would say is pretty fair. One last thing I changed was the armor. Personally, I feel like the APC, especially with these changes, would probably be fine with how it is with its armor. It normally takes 8 rockets to blow it up, but I increased it slightly to around 10 by adding the capped explosion damage flag and changing the weapon damage and engine damage modifiers. I will say that in single player it doesn't have the same armor, it's much weaker than it is in normal GT Online, so that's why I had to increase it much more to get the same kind of armor that it has in multiplayer. So with this, it takes around 10 rockets to blow it up, which is a good amount for a light tank in GTA. The other tanks should take much more than this, obviously. Anyways, that is the APC with both of its guns reworked, and they really do offer different abilities. I personally like the GTA 4 style APC cannon myself, it's just so much fun to mess around with, but the new SAM turret would be an absolute beast at taking down aircraft. Let me know what you guys think about this new APC down in the comments section. Also, let me know which vehicle you want to see me rebalance next. And if you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, feel free to leave a like, as well as subscribe to my channel for more guide and PvP related content. Huge thank you to all my channel members for your support. If you'd like to become a member for some exclusive perks, you can either use the join button or the link that's down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a great day.